Things you need to know this hour. First,
Driving over the salt flats when they're wet will cost you $5,000 due to the damage it causes. That's according to the Bureau of Land Management. I'm KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly.
second, UDOT officials are working to send part of 3rd West underground as part of the city's new sports district. Third, traffic and weather together, Ricky.
We still have a crash on southbound I-215's westbound blocking a left lane at 7th North. But now Mother Nature taking out her wrath on I-15 drivers in Sandy and Draper. Expect rain delays as you travel between 90th and 123rd South in both directions. Ricky Meese, the KSL Traffic Center.
2 days ago, you were running the AC. Today, you'll be running the heater. Chance for storms, 56. I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 48 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. At a House hearing today, Capitol Police removed some protesters as Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy was testifying on recent cuts to agencies. It includes the FDA and National Institutes of Health and Medicaid, which many of those with disabilities say will jeopardize their health care payments. Here's ABC's Jay O'Brien.
We saw just about a half dozen of those demonstrators removed from the hearing room, and it appears that some were arrested. It was dramatic when they were removed from the hearing room, as well as Capitol Police. They were tussling with police a little bit in the hallway. But that doesn't even cover how tense this hearing is supposed to get from a political perspective as well, because we know lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have pointed questions for Kennedy over his changes to that agency.
President Trump in Qatar attending a state dinner, his next stop on his Middle East trip. He announced Qatar has pledged to buy Boeing jets. This is ABC News.
Time for the KSL In-Depth. The Utah Department of Corrections has signed an agreement with ICE agreeing to transfer individuals who pose a risk to public safety into ICE custody after they've served their sentences. Joining me now live to discuss the agreement is KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas. Exactly what does this mean, Greg? I mean, does it matter that it's in writing?
Yeah, it does, because the Department of Homeland Security entered into a program called their 287G program, which allows them to deputize local officials to help them in limited capacity. I don't know if I'm making sense here, in performing some ICE duties. So what they're doing effectively, Maria, is this. They're saying, according to this act, which Congress enacted, we are going to designate probation officers, state probation officers, as ICE agents for the limited purpose of detaining and restraining people who are here arguably illegally, so that the probation officers are sort of acting as ICE agents. And yeah, it does require what's called a memorandum of understanding, a written agreement.
So how do you think this will impact how many people are actually deported?
Well, it's certainly going to increase that. And our probation department and our law enforcement community in Utah has historically not been involved with immigration and detention and deportation proceedings, and they've sort of tried to stay away from that. But under this act, they are now allowed to do that. In fact, they're deputized in some respects to do that. So it's already affected a lot of people, Maria, and just in the last few months since the new president took office, allowing local officials, especially probation and parole agents, to detain individuals here who are here illegally in a sense that they wouldn't have previously.
All right. I guess it was confusing because the governor had already said that he supported the president's plan to deport illegal immigrants. But this mainly changes what's happening in the probation and parole office.
Right. It gives them some authority, written authority, to act as quasi-ICE agents when they're doing their probation and parole duties, when they're interviewing their people that they're on parole or probation with, the clients, so to speak, learning more about them, learning that they're here illegally, and giving them authority to do things that they really weren't doing before, which is to detain them, hold them in ICE custody, and allow the ICE agents to proceed from there in terms of having some of these people deported.
Great. Greg, does this raise any other sorts of concerns doing this?
Well, the only concern, Maria, is that historically our police and probation officers didn't want to be involved in that. They've sort of shied away from that. Now the governor, the executive branch has said, no, you are going to do this. You are going to assume these responsibilities. And in fact, the director of the Department of Corrections has said, yes, our agents are going to be involved in this. So in the past, they haven't been. They haven't wanted to. Now they're being ordered to.
All right. Appreciate your time. And that is Greg Skordas, our KSL legal analyst. We do have an emergency traffic situation. Our traffic and weather together is brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
The good news is we are now seeing a delay-free drive southbound I-215's West Belt from Legacy all the way down to the I-80 junction. We're just before that. We still have the final cleanup of the earlier crash. It's still blocking the left lane, but you have two right lanes open to get by. Those backups have cleared. Our other big issue is the weather. We're just not used to this much water all at one time. It has rained, it has hailed, and it has slowed speeds for drivers on I-15 north and southbound, Sandy and Draper. It does look like it might be easing a bit, but wow, what a wallop. And we have a ton of water on the road and then hail as well that still hasn't melted quite yet on parts of the roadway, so you still want to use some caution if you're traveling in weather-related areas. Save up to 20% when you bring a group of 10 or more, or subscribe to Design a Series with 3+ concerts that match your vibe. Tickets at DeerValleyMusicFestival.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast. I got 5 of the next 7 days with at least some kind of chance for rain. 56 today with scattered rain showers and storms. 64 tomorrow, 40% chance for a scattered shower. Mostly cloudy, dry, 68 on Friday. Saturday, warm, 73, breezy out of the south, and a slight chance for an evening thunder shower. I got thunderstorms likely on Sunday, 60 degrees. 57 with showers on Monday. Tuesday, partly cloudy and 66. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 48 downtown. 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. If you are looking for a weight loss plan that works, but you want an all-natural plan, you don't want to take any sort of medications or get injections, I want to tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss. This program has helped me lose more than 40 pounds. It's helping me keep that weight off. Many people lose up to a pound per day. So besides looking better, feeling more confident, I no longer suffer from back spasms after working in the yard, and I have so much more energy. Again, this program is not as expensive as other programs because there are no prepackaged meals or other products that you're required to buy. It's easy to stick with, just a simple combination of foods that melt stored fat quickly. Just go to slcfatloss.com to learn more. Right now, you can save $200 off this great plan, and it's easy because you can even meet with them virtually. 801-450-1882 or slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Are you looking for the perfect downtown lunch spot? The Garden Restaurant at Temple Square is opening on June 30th in Salt Lake City. Enjoy a reimagined space and a fresh, healthy menu featuring handcrafted sandwiches, rich soups, unique salads, and their famous homemade pot pies. You'll see and taste the difference in every menu item. The Garden is perfect for lunch meetings, taking a break while out shopping, or a spring stroll downtown. Visit the reimagined space with remarkable taste. Grab and go or stay and dine in using a new online ordering option. Find entry from the ground floor of the Joseph Smith Memorial Building, open Monday through Friday, 11 to 3. Visit thegardenslc.com to learn more. Fresh flavors, iconic location. The Garden Restaurant at Temple Square is opening June 30th. Hope to see you there. thegardenslc.com.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL News Time 1254 ride-sharing service Uber is out with a bunch of new features. ABC's Mike Dubusky has more.
Uber says people in certain cities are now able to use Route Share, a new service that offers pickups every 20 minutes along a predetermined route, similar to a bus service. Passengers will ride with up to 2 other people headed in the same direction, and they can book seats up to a week in advance. The company says it's rolling out in 7 cities right now, including New York, San Francisco, and Chicago. Uber says route shares will cost about half the price of a standard Uber X. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Uber also announced a partnership with Volkswagen on self-driving vehicles. Watching Utah's money, Spirit Airlines is offering some new premium features for flyers. The budget airline is adding an extra legroom seating option, which will make up more than 40 seats on the plane near the front. Now, the airline's cardholders will also get 2 free checked bags. YouTube is planning to stream the NFL's Week 1 game for free. It won't be until September 5th, but it will make history. CNBC reports last year people spent over 350 million hours watching official NFL content on YouTube. McDonald's is bringing back a favorite Happy Meal toy. It's Squishmallows. They were a big hit last time they came as a toy in 2023. USA Today reports the brand has sold more than 400 million of the stuffed animals worldwide. And your money at this moment, the Dow now down about 76 points, sitting at 42,063. S&P 500 up by 4 points. The NASDAQ up by 110 points.
Spring is here, and so is the Sutherland Spring Spectacular Sale. Are you ready to transform your garden into a vibrant oasis? Head to Sutherland's right now for unbeatable deals on all your favorite plants. Get ready to hang gorgeous 10-inch promo hanging baskets, regularly $19.99, now slashed to $9.99. Annuals that delight with color. Sutherland's has a 4-pack of annuals regularly priced at $2.99, now only $1.59. Plant more, spend less with Sutherland's. Looking to grow your own veggies? Sutherland's 4-inch vegetables, normally $5.99, are now just $3.99. Start your garden today with savings in every pot. And don't miss Sutherland's stunning 1-gallon geraniums, regularly $9.99, now only $4.44. Come on down to Sutherland's for the Spring Spectacular Sale. These offers are bloomin' wonderful, but they won't last long. Visit your local Sutherland store today and make your spring spectacular. We'll see you at Sutherland's.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky, glad to hear it's not emergency traffic anymore.
We are out of emergency traffic. That's the good news. I'll give you an update in just a sec, but I want to tell you about a new crash. This is in Utah County, northbound I-15. It's just after 2100 North Lehigh, and they've just opened up those right lanes of travel, and that's what was causing some backups in the area. A lot of rain here as well, even though the rain may be easing. The roads are very, very wet. We're still seeing rain delays southbound I-15, Sandy to Draper, and the left lane still blocked with the final clearing of a crash southbound I-215's West Belt at 700 North. For 160 years, the Salvation Army has been standing strong, serving those in need. The Salvation Army Week celebrates by giving $160 to help serve a Utah family in need. Donate now at 160years.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Student visas restored for dozens of international students in Utah.
You take this on a case-by-case basis. You don't have a choice. You hear rumors that they're going to say, hey, we can't give everybody due process, and that's absolutely garbage. That's what we're based on. That's what we do.
The time is 1 o'clock on Wednesday, May 14th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the latest developments on a case that we've been tracking for months. And also this hour,
there's a lack of patience with each other that is scary.
new data on the amount of police-involved shootings in Utah this year and the message for folks to all calm down and take a breath. But first, our top stories. Some Davis High School students may be losing college credits due to an accidental fire alarm at the wrong time. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr reports.
On Monday, Davis High students were close to finishing their AP Calculus exam when a balloon tripped a fire alarm and all students had to evacuate the building for about 20 minutes. According to the college board, the students now have 3 options. They can submit their exams as they were before leaving the building, take the exam on a late testing date, which happens to be the same day as graduation, or take the exam a week after graduation.
The high school says they will coordinate an alternate graduation ceremony for any students wanting to take the test on graduation day. Our top national stories from ABC News. A new bipartisan bill aims to increase support and training for air traffic controllers. Sponsor, Congressman Greg Stanton, told our sister station, KTAR, it's called the Air Traffic Controller Workforce Development Act of 2025. He knows most people understand air travel is safe.
But they expect leaders, the president and Congress, to work together to constantly improve air travel, improve technology, improve training, and that's what I'm working on in Congress.
He says the bill will address staffing shortages, improve working conditions, and ensure the safe transportation of people and goods in U.S. airspace. A Consumer Reports investigation turned up some tough questions about grocery chain Kroger.
Consumer Reports, The Guardian, and the Food Environment and Reporting Network recruited shoppers over the past 3 months to spot-check prices at Kroger and Kroger-owned stores like Fred Meyer and Ralph's. They found that the typical Kroger shopper ends up paying far more for what they think are discounted items, everything from Cheerios and dog food to instant coffee and salmon. Consumer Reports says many of the items in question had outdated sales tags that rang up as a lot more when people went to check out. Kroger says it's working to address the possible discrepancies. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is down by 75 points. It sits at 42,065. S&P 500 up by 2 points. The NASDAQ up nearly 100 points, about 0.5%. Pope Leo XIV is getting to indulge his love of tennis at the Vatican. ABC News reports the pontiff got to meet the world's #1 ranked men's tennis player, Jannik Sinner. Now, there is a tennis court on the grounds of the Vatican, not accessible to the public, but we don't know yet whether the Pope intends to keep playing. More than 150 missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are set to sing the national anthem at tonight's Real Salt Lake game. RSL's game against Portland Timbers kicks off tonight at 7:30. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Well, it looks like the rain may have eased for now along the Wasatch Front, but not without taking a toll. We have a crash northbound I-15 in Utah County just after 2100 North. Moved to the shoulder, and the left lane still blocked with the clearing of a crash on southbound I-215's West Belt at 700 North. Water belongs in pipes, not in your yard or on your floor. Call Utah Utility Pro, your leak detection and repair specialist. Water, sewer, main, and gas lines. Utah Utility Pro, utahutilitypro.com. Ricky Meese, the KSL Traffic Center.
Forecast calling for at least a chance of rain every day for the next 7 days. Today, 60%, 40% tomorrow, then 20% on Friday. 48 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are 2 very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
Spring is the perfect time to refresh your home, and Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is here to help. Right now, when you get the carpet of 3 rooms cleaned, you'll get an additional room cleaned absolutely free. And for a whole home refresh, take 20% off upholstery cleaning. Unlike traditional cleaners, Zero Res uses patented ZR water, a powerful cleaning solution that lifts dirt and grime without harsh chemicals or detergents. That means your carpets and upholstery stay cleaner longer and dry in hours, not days. It's safe for kids, pets, and the environment. Plus, every cleaning comes with a Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee. If you're not completely satisfied, Zero Res will re-clean for free within 30 days. Don't miss out on these limited time offers because spring cleaning starts now. Get started today at zerores.com and mention KSL to lock in your deal.
Hi, it's Tori DeVito. In every family, small conversations can make a big impact. I grew up on tour with my parents. Kind of different, but we bonded over music just like other families do over sports, camping, or other interests. And we talked. Little everyday conversations from silly to serious that built a foundation over time. Honest conversations, like when my dad shared his experiences as an alcoholic.
Your honesty about that part of your life gave me a sense of integrity that I wanted to uphold in my own life. And I was so grateful that you and Mom had become these sober, stable people who were always there for me.
I wanted you to know from someone who's been in recovery more than 30 years now that hard work is what creates success, not alcohol or other drugs, whether it's music or anything else. I said it a lot, and I'm glad you took it to heart.
Talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
For the last month, KSL News Radio has reported on several dozen international college students here in Utah who have had their legal status revoked. Attorneys have been fighting in court to allow these kids to continue their studies, and today we learned that the federal government has agreed to reinstate their legal status. Thanks for tuning in to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Let's get right into the heart of the story. That's with KSL News Radio's Adam Small has been tracking the story from the very beginning.
Last month, dozens of international students studying in Utah and around the country were hit with unexpected news that their CVIS registrations had been revoked. That active registration is one of the things they need to legally stay in the country, and they were given no prior notice. They were only told their statuses had been revoked and they should immediately self-deport to avoid any legal complications. Adam Craik was one of several immigration attorneys to advocate for some of these students in court. He says this is not how due process works.
You take this on a case-by-case basis. You don't have a choice. You hear rumors that they're going to say, hey, we can't give everybody due process, and that's absolutely garbage. That's what we're based on. That's what we do.
He and several other attorneys filed a lawsuit alongside the ACLU claiming the federal government violated the students' Fifth Amendment right to due process by not giving them the chance to defend themselves or hear a reason why their statuses were revoked. Today, though, Craik says they've moved to dismiss that lawsuit because the government has agreed to reinstate the students' legal statuses.
Myself and the other attorneys were all very, very happy that this is the end result.
And this is not just happening for students here in Utah. In a new court filing, a high-ranking member of the Department of Homeland Security says they are reinstating the the SEVIS statuses for all the students this happened to, saying they plan to go back over each one on a case-by-case basis. Craig says some students could see their statuses revoked again if they've been accused of a serious crime or something like that, but he says the 12 Utah students he represented should be in the clear since they only had previous traffic tickets or minor citations, many of which were dismissed.
Those are the common everyday occurrences that kids commit every single day that we don't have a lot of heartache about because we recognize, man, we make mistakes.
The government's also agreed to reinstate the statuses retroactively, so there's no issue with any gaps in their history. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
One of those students who had their visa yanked was Sugura Onda. He's a BYU PhD student. He spoke with KSL News Radio's Adam Small after initially hearing the news that his visa had been revoked.
We are planning to go back to Japan during the summer, so every plan is ruined. Like my kids start worrying about it, and still we have no clue what to do. I feel like helpless, like nobody know answer and nobody know what to do, what's gonna happen.
And it wasn't just about him. He has family living here with him in Utah.
Mostly like my family was shocked, so I was hesitant to talk to my kids because like they have a lot of plan, like they play sports like soccer and gymnastics, and they have a soccer game almost like weekday. They have a practice, so they had a plan until the end of the school year, and also we are planning to go back to Japan during the summer. So every plan is ruined. Like my kids start worrying about it, and still we have no clue what to do. So the family we pray about it. Like went to temple, and then still we couldn't figure out what to do. So yeah, that I don't know how to describe our feeling, but especially my wife, she was really worried about if we need to go back there. 15 days we have to pack everything and leave the house, and then yeah, those are like so many things that we need to deal with. So yeah, instead of like getting mad about the situation, we are worried about like how we're gonna manage our family situation. So that was our concern at that time.
And his overall takeaways from this experience?
I didn't get mad, but I just surprised. I saw similar news on like a lot of news site, and I was worried about it, but it's happened to me. So just like speechless. I couldn't say what to do.
You can read more about the whole story from Adam Small by visiting our website, kslnewsradio.com. Stay with us. We'll be back with more local news in just one moment.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Hit it. It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss, because right now you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Are you serious?
Yeah!
Just 3 weeks in, and the pounds are dropping off very quickly. I am down 26 pounds in 3 weeks.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I let go of 50 pounds. It felt unreal. I was so proud of myself. My body did exactly what it wanted to do. I just gave it its tools.
Let's spring into summer right now with Soda Weight Loss. If you want to look like this for summer, now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Remember, this is our best offer of the year, so let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
We are not even halfway through 2025, but Utah law enforcement officers have been involved in shootings nearly twice as much as they were during the same time frame last year. Now, it's looking like the uptick in use of force is not unique to Utah. Earlier this week, we reported on 2 officer-involved shootings, both in the same night. In Salt Lake City, a man evaded police who tried to conduct a traffic stop. The man was located later after crashing his car. Now, officers found him on the train tracks where he began to run away. Police shot and wounded him. In Ogden, an officer shot a man who allegedly lunged after him with knives. KSL News Radio's news director Becky Bruce did some digging. Going back through 10 years of data, she found at least 11 officer-involved shootings in 2025 so far, 6 through May 13th last year. Now, the most any year had seen in the last 10 was 7. She spoke with retired Salt Lake City Police Chief Chris Burbank about the trends.
It appears, at least in the state of Utah, that officer-involved shootings are up over last year. As we talked, right, the most important thing is the fact, how does this look over the last 10 years, right? Are we getting better or are we getting worse, right? Is our use of force more prevalent than it was, say, even 5 years ago? And that's where I find data compelling to start doing these things. But anytime you see a rise, especially a significant rise, as you commented on, that's alarming and something that you should be paying attention to.
Burbank says it's not just Utah, it's that is seeing this increase.
In doing a little research, there hasn't been a single day in the United States where the police have not killed somebody. Not a single day has gone by this year. Now, that is an alarming trend. The thing that I think is important to always say whenever we talk about force, and especially deadly force, that represents a failure of our society, of our system. Right? Even in the circumstances where there's no other option, and you would say, yes, that's a justified shooting under the law, right? That's still a failure, that we cannot police each other, that we cannot live together civilly without having to resort to violence in order to keep the whole safe or safer.
Becky asked about pushback. Is it becoming more common for people to fight back against police, and is that contributing to the rise in shootings? Burbank says not necessarily.
Well, I think people are more willing to push back in every circumstance. This is not just the police, right? I mean, it's an alarming trend when you see the police, because anytime you involve a police officer, right, there's a gun involved. And the potential for deadly force increases dramatically. But look at the road rage incidents. Look at the number of circumstances where people get out of their car. I had a circumstance where somebody got out of their car because they felt that they deserved a parking spot that I had parked in, not even paying attention to what was going on. That's alarming, right? That you are that concerned about a commute, about parking, that you would potentially interact with somebody not knowing who I am, what I am, or anything else, or what your intent is. That's an alarming trend that you see throughout the country, right? There's a lack of patience with each other that is scary.
Burbank says it's not just a danger to police, it's a danger to us all. He believes we've all gotten too excited over things and that we just need to calm down, take a deep breath, and especially when we're in tense situations.
Again, like I say, I'm just fascinated by how quickly people are jumping to, I'm going to hop out of my car and fight over a parking spot. I'm going to shoot at you on the freeway because you're driving too fast, I'm driving too slow, whatever the circumstances may be. Why do we ever get to that, right? It's a commute where everybody should just get to the end where they want to be without traffic accidents, without road rage, and certainly without violence.
New developments in a case involving a U.S. citizen child being deported to Honduras with her non-citizen mother. We're going to go in depth on that after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
The rain has eased in Sandy and Draper, and the freeway already in the process of drying out. The crash northbound I-15 in Lehigh has cleared. We do have rain slowing speeds along I-15 in Weber County now in Roy and Riverdale. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Jeff Kaplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Kaplan every day. He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Kaplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Kaplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
With next-level tech and safety features, Hyundai cars and SUVs give you the confidence to boldly journey wherever life takes you. Advantages include our available class-exclusive digital key and available remote start parking assist. And because we want the road ahead to be as worry-free as possible, every Hyundai also comes complete with America's Best Warranty, a 10-year or 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. It's time you took a test drive of your favorite Hyundai today, only at your Utah Hyundai dealers.
Thursday on KSL, meet Shaw Ray.
I strive to do good things in this world.
He survived an unimaginable crime and loss of his family.
I am very grateful and blessed.
Now drawing on his strength and resilience to tackle new challenges.
There's so much more to life than a couple of defining moments.
And plans for the future.
I will be majoring in pre-law.
Healing and Hope, Shaw Ray's story, Thursday at 10 on KSL.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. The attorneys for the family of a 2-year-old American citizen sent to Honduras with her non-citizen mother have now dropped their lawsuit against the Trump administration. For more on that, let's bring in Midday executive producer Andy Cupp. And Andy, didn't some people argue that this case wasn't a deportation case, but a parental custody case?
Yeah, Maria, that's exactly right. It was a big discussion when this popped a couple of weeks ago. So the 2-year-old girl was born in the United States, making her automatically a U.S. citizen. Her mother, however, is a Honduras citizen who was deported back to her home country, and she took the child with her. The girl's father, however, is an American citizen, so you can see how this is already getting a little complicated. So the original claims were that the Trump administration, quote-unquote, deported a U.S. citizen. But then the news came out that it wasn't an actual deportation of the child. Her mother just took her with her when she was deported. It still sparked a bunch of concerns, though, about due process and how that's playing a role in these deportations. Are there safeguards in place to ensure that only the right people are deported, for instance? So the father, he sued to get the child back. That's the lawsuit that we're talking about today that has now been dropped. One of the family's lawyers telling the Associated Press that the family wants to take a step back to have, quote, full discussions about all their options, the safety and well-being of their children, and the best ways to proceed, end quote. This whole thing, it ties back into the discussion of birthright citizenship under the 14th Amendment. You'll recall that President Trump believes in a different interpretation of that amendment, saying it doesn't automatically apply to anyone born on American soil. Last month on Inside Sources, hosts Leah Murray and Taylor Morgan actually kind of talked about this situation, and I loved their perspective.
What happens, this is the question, I think it's a big question, with children who are American citizens living with parents who are not. So I think this is at the heart of the birthright citizenship conversation that our president wants the country to have, to turn over 100 years of case law, to rethink what the 14th Amendment says, which right now says that we is jus soli, which means by the soil, and jus sanguine, which means by the blood, citizenship.
Yeah.
So if you are born on American soil, you are an American citizen. President Trump doesn't like that. He wants to get rid of that part of the citizenship understanding as part of his efforts. As you said earlier, that you thought was a huge win to do immigration reform and to secure the border. I'm just going to put it right on you, Taylor Morgan.
So the United States Supreme Court will actually hear this case that deals with the interpretation of birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment tomorrow. So we're going to have live analysis of the hearing, more on what the case is about. We'll have Greg Skordas and Leah Murray join us to give their perspectives. That's all going to start at about 1 p.m. here on Midday. Maria?
Yeah, this will be an important and really interesting case to watch. Thanks, Andy. In other political news, President Trump continues his visit in the Middle East, meeting with dignitaries and leaders of Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. ABC's Brad Milkey spoke about the trip this far with Karen Travers, who has been traveling with the president's press pool.
President Trump flew into the Middle East on Monday for his first foreign trip of his term, but yesterday morning in Saudi Arabia, it started in earnest.
As you know, we have the biggest business leaders in the world here today. They're going to walk away with a lot of checks.
And while we talked yesterday about how central the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is to so many countries in the region, that is not the only issue on the table here. And President Trump made some news on several fronts. ABC's White House correspondent Karen Travers is in Saudi Arabia right now. She's traveling with the president on this trip. Karen, there was this busy day yesterday, several events outlining the president's vision for the Middle East. What were the big takeaways here?
I think the big headline was the surprise announcement he made related to Syria. The president said yesterday that he hoped the new government in Syria would succeed in stabilizing the country and keep the peace there.
That's what we want to see in Syria. They've had their share of travesty, war, killing.
Remember, of course, back in December, Bashar al-Assad, the longtime president, was overthrown. His regime was taken down, and the current president, he was a big leader of that movement.
The Islamist leader of the main rebel group, Abu Muhammad al-Golani, saying, "This victory, my brothers, is a new chapter in the history of the entire Islamic nation."
Since then, the Trump administration hasn't formally recognized the new Syrian government. The Biden administration sort of punted on that at the end as they were leaving office, saying, the Trump administration's coming in. We're going to leave that up to them to decide as a foreign policy matter.
That's why my administration has already taken the first steps toward restoring normal relations between the United States and Syria for the first time in more than a decade.
But it was a two-part announcement from the president.
I will be ordering the cessation of sanctions against Syria in order to give them a chance at greatness.
Sanctions have been in place for decades. They've been really crippling for Syria's economy. And there's a lot of concern here in the region that the country will not have a chance to rebuild so long as these sanctions stay in place. And so the president was actually pressured on this by Turkey's President Erdogan and the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, Mohammed bin Salman. And President Trump acknowledged that yesterday, that he heard it from them. It was at their urging.
Oh, what I do for the Crown Prince.
The president will meet with the leader of Syria today, something that was not originally on the schedule. President Trump also met with the Emir of Qatar yesterday, signing an agreement for the country of Qatar to buy jets from the U.S.-based Boeing.
I just want to thank you for the friendship, for the long-time friendship. And again, long before any of this stuff, we just liked each other. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But we always had a very special relationship.
This visit coming right after Qatar offered to gift President Trump a 747 luxury jet that the Trump administration claims will be used as Air Force One. Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle have voiced concerns about the legality of such a gift, security concerns with the plane, and how much it could cost to retrofit the jet to act as Air Force One. Republican Congressman Marlon Stutzman called it a nice offer, but said it would be better if the Trump administration focused its time and energy on world crises and not researching constitutional clauses.
I think that the president will make the right decision regarding the offer. It's a nice gesture, but at the same time, I think focusing on the security of Israel, but also the opportunity for Syria to rebuild is really critical.
In other news, new questions being raised about former President Biden's mental fitness before leaving office. Here's ABC's Andrew Dinbert.
At a fundraiser last year with actor George Clooney, the authors claim Biden seemed severely diminished and did not recognize Clooney despite Biden knowing him for decades. According to the book, former President Obama, also at that fundraiser, had difficulty making sense of Biden's behavior and blamed Biden's busy schedule. But the authors say Obama would come to realize that scheduling was not the fundamental problem.
Representatives of the former president have not yet commented publicly. It's 1:30, midday at KSL News Radio. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. What goes up must come down, right? We're looking at the price of goods and services, plus a look at traffic.
Bound I-15 in Roy blocking traffic. Maria?
And thank you, Ricky. First, ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump arrived in Qatar today. It's the second stop on his Middle East trip this week, a day after announcing new business ventures with Saudi Arabia. President Trump announcing Qatar has agreed to buy a fleet of jets from Boeing.
I just want to thank you for the friendship, for the long-time friendship. And again, long before any of this stuff, we just liked each other.
Qatar has also offered to gift the Trump administration a Boeing luxury jet the White House says would be used as Air Force One. That's raising questions on both sides of the aisle over legality and also national security. Singer Cassie Ventura back on the stand today in the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs. His ex-girlfriend facing cross-examination about testimony she was coerced into carrying out sex acts with other men and escorts. And a flood emergency in parts of Maryland and Virginia bracing for more torrential rain today. And in Minnesota, they could see some rain to help with record heat and wildfires across the state. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. If you are looking for a job, you'll have an easier time finding one in Salt Lake.
Nearly 50% of Utah's 1.76 million jobs are in Salt Lake County, and 1 in every 4 jobs are in Salt Lake City. Director of the Kempsey Gardner Institute, Natalie Gochner, says it's because the city chose to invest in itself. The population was actually declining in the late 1990s, hitting a low in 2000, but it's been growing since then.
This is revitalization. This is a city that was in decline that figured out how to invest in a Broadway theater, how to invest in transit, how to invest in professional sports, how to invest in housing and community building.
It's growing faster than other cities like Lehigh and Provo at a rate of 4%, compared to 2.8 and 0.7%. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 78 points, not quite 0.25%, sitting at 42,061. S&P 500 up by 2 points, and the NASDAQ up by 104 points. Salt Lake City police have identified an 18-year-old as the person wounded in an officer-involved shooting earlier this week. They say Carlos Ocampo Flores is accused of fleeing an officer who tried to stop him for driving without headlights and crashing into multiple cars before they encountered him in a field. Police claim he ran and reached toward his waistband, which is when the officer fired shots. He's also accused of threatening first responders who treated him. His injuries are not considered life-threatening. Don't drive on the salt flats when they're wet. That's the warning from the Bureau of Land Management.
The weight of vehicles can break through the thin layer of crust when it is wet, which will also get them stuck in the mud. In a Facebook post, BLM officials say they will bill people $5,000 to fix the scars on the landscape. They also posted pictures of recent damage done when someone drove over the wet salt flats.
The BLM is reminding people to be respectful of the land so others can also enjoy it. KSL Sports, BYU officially introduced their new athletic director, Brian Santiago, today, and he says his main goal is to help students and coaches rise to new heights.
And every one of us in the athletic department, every single person in the athletic department are united in that purpose. That's why we come to work every day, to help the student athletes and our coaches fly.
Santiago says that he's a passionate guy, and he doesn't apologize for that, but he says he hopes people will be able to get to know his more personal side as he takes on this new role. He says BYU Athletics has a lot of momentum right now, and they're going to work hard to win at the highest levels. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
The rain coming through and slowing speeds along I-15 in Kaysville now. Also, a new accident northbound I-15 as you're passing 5600 South Roy on the way to Riverdale. Looks like it's probably blocking traffic and causing delays. Whether you park it, stripe it, or pave it, GoPave Utah has your blacktop covered at GoPaveUtah.com. That's GoPaveUtah.com. Call or visit GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
We are in a rainy pattern for the next 7 days. A good chance of rain each day. 60% chance today, 40% chance tomorrow. And staying pretty cool. Today up to 56, 64 tomorrow, and 68 on Friday. 51 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Troy, can you believe Memorial Day is almost here?
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting?
Yeah.
That's all you got for the official start to camping season and our entire reason for living?
I am excited, yes. What do you want from me?
Get pumped, man. It's camping Christmas. Kind of a big deal.
Oh, it's a huge flippin' deal. That's why Bish's is already celebrating Memorial Day with big deals on all RVs. We're selling travel trailers starting under $139 per month on approved credit.
And don't forget no tariff fees on new in-stock RVs.
Plus 90 days of all play and no pay OAC.
And clearance pricing on all remaining 2024s while they last.
We're even delivering select RVs same day so you can camp right away.
Same day camping? That is a big flippin' deal.
Told you, camping season is a big deal. So come get the real big deals during the Memorial Day sales event happening right now at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock number is 90452-81733. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. On yesterday's show, we told you about the price of eggs coming down, and we asked you to chime in. What have you seen that's gone up or down in prices? KSL News Radio listener Martin sent us a text saying that he had bought some water softener salt this week, paying about $7.60. He says that was about twice as much as the last time he bought some. Overall, inflation rates are still improving, but we are nowhere near as bad as we were a few years ago, but the prices are still high. Inflation is currently at 2.3%, just above the Fed's target of 2%. So why are prices still high? Is it due to tariffs, or maybe things are just really slow to catch up? We are turning to Bankrate for some answers, and joining me now is Sarah Foster, U.S. economy reporter and analyst at Bankrate. Sarah, thanks for being with us. Tell us more about your research, and have you figured out why the prices are still higher?
Thanks for having me. I think what's especially clear is that inflation is a tough cycle to break. And even during normal times, prices go up at about a 2% rate. So unfortunately, what that means for many consumers is that once you experience those massive surges like we experienced in the aftermath of the coronavirus pandemic, it's really hard. And I mean, many consumers don't see those prices ever go back to levels that they used to be. Goods, however, and gasoline, energy, those are items that tend to be more volatile. And so some of the good news, I think, from this report is at least that gas prices came down, egg prices finally came down. Of course, though, they might feel a little bit more expensive than where they used to be.
Right. Looking year over year, what things are still more expensive?
Really what we see is the most expensive are shelter, motor vehicle insurance, and then some of these grocery-related items. Those are the items that have increased the most since the pandemic occurred. And really, since the past year, what we've seen become the most expensive are some of those items that include audio equipment, car and truck rentals, utility piped gas services. So some of these are essentials, which means that many consumers probably can't cut them out of their budget.
What about month over month? I mean, just looking at the last few months, is there a difference?
It is true that it's important to look at month-over-month changes as opposed to year-over-year changes, because sometimes if you go through a 12-month period and you see prices rise, faster in one part of the year than the other, that might obscure the year-over-year rate when prices are mainly coming down. I think eggs are really a good example in how they almost declined about 13% over the past month, but yet when you look at them over the past year, they're still up by about 49%. So when you look at those month-over-month changes, what you can really see is that it's kind of the food items, again, gasoline, and then some other non-discretionary purchases.
So you mentioned eggs, you mentioned gasoline. Anything else go down?
Well, something that's pretty interesting right now, and especially as it relates to this question of are consumers pulling back on spending, we noticed in the latest data that some of these discretionary items actually fell in price, which might be a sign of waning consumer demand. I'm thinking of two categories here. Number one, kind of the decline in admissions to sporting events prices. So if you're someone who's maybe gone to a baseball game or maybe a basketball game, over the past month, it's actually gotten a little bit cheaper to do that. And then also airline fares. Those prices have gone down a little bit, which you might see reflected in some of these airline companies trying to woo you with a little bit of sales this summer to try to make sure that they don't miss out on that period of peak demand.
Yeah, you're mentioning airline tickets in the summer. So how much does the season actually play into price changes?
Seasonality is a huge part, and that's part of the challenge of looking at month-over-month changes. The good thing about looking at it on an annual rate is that it squeezes out those seasonal variations. Month-over-month is giving you a more recent look, but you also get instances like in March, for instance, when we saw that tax season-related expenses like tax preparation services, those were among the prices that increased the most for the month, which is, everybody is going through tax preparation. It's that large amount of demand at that time of year is probably related to the price increase. So it is something to keep in mind, but I would say that, coming up on peak summer travel, just the fact that you do see some of these airline fare prices going down might be an indication of some consumers starting to pull back.
So what are the big takeaways for consumers when you're looking at these prices? Are there things we should be buying or, not buying? What's the takeaway for consumers?
Yeah, I think what's especially important for many Americans right now as we start to talk about tariffs and how higher prices might filter in through the store shelves and into the items that everyday people pay is it's really important to just make sure you're keeping a close watch over your budget, going line for line on everything that you buy if you have to, and finding out if there are any substitutions or if there are any kind of price comparison shopping that you can make just to make sure that you're getting the best deal. Something that really surprised us is that in this latest inflation report, it didn't really look like tariffs were having much of an effect at all on inflation. And in fact, prices actually kind of surprised to the downside here. That's not to say, though, that it couldn't happen down the line, and many companies do tell us that they plan to pass along higher prices from tariffs, considering that they are still higher today than they were at the start of President Trump's second term. So I think, really being your own advocate, kind of looking at meticulously at your finances the way that a Fed official or Fed Chair Jerome Powell probably looks at the economy. Looking at your own personal inflation rates, I think, is a really good idea to make sure that you're not buying something that's overly inflated.
You kind of touched on this a bit. We have a texter who's saying prices will never go down to pre-pandemic levels because the minimum wage has more than doubled. Could you kind of talk about that for a second?
Yeah, something that I think often we focus on is when inflation will go back to the level that we were used to. And knowing that that's not possible, I think what would really start to help Americans feel better is if you get to this period where prices are rising at a much more normal level and wage growth is actually catching back up to the ground that they lost. We also publish a separate study that looks at wages versus inflation and whether prices have actually risen faster than wages or if wages have kept pace with them. And for the average worker, Americans' wages have actually risen at a slower pace than their prices. So there's still some ground to be made up. So what I think this shows is that it's really important for the economy to hopefully continue avoiding a recession so Americans have some of that bargaining power to get higher pay to finally feel better about the prices that they're paying.
Sarah, appreciate your perspective. Sarah Foster, U.S. economy reporter and analyst at Bankrate. Thanks for chatting with me today. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues with our question of the day in just 60 seconds.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Thanks for being with me today on Midday. As we move into summer, we move into the seasons of grilling, potlucks, and large get-togethers. After most parties, you're bound to have some leftovers. Now, when we were planning today's show, we were casually chatting about how long leftovers are good for. And surprise, surprise, we have a lot of different thoughts on that. And that leads us to today's question of the day, leftovers. This is your chance to chime in. Let us know how you feel. We're dedicating this segment each day to connect with you, and we want to hear your comments and concerns. And we'll do that, of course, by posing this question of the day. We're going to ask you to respond either on the KSL News Radio app or by phone. Really easy on the app, though. You just open the app, and at the bottom of the homepage, you'll see the little call-in tab. Just tap on that, tell us your first name, where you're calling from, and then give us a quick response to the question. Then you can even review your answer and re-record if you don't like your message. You can also call and leave us a message at 801-575-4606. And each day at 1:35, we'll share some of your thoughts and hear from experts who can speak to them. So here's today's question of the day. What is your comfort level when it comes to eating leftovers? How long do you feel safe leaving them in your refrigerator? Tell us about your experience and even why you feel that way. And again, leave your name, where you're calling from, and then your response on the KSL News Radio app. Just tap on the call-in tab at the bottom there, or call and leave your message at 801-575-4606. We'll also get that question posted on social media, on our social media accounts, so you can leave your thoughts there too. Utah County is seeing record growth and Mountain Pass is opening earlier than normal. We'll have more on both of those stories in just a few minutes, but first, let's check traffic, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We are seeing traffic slow down a bit in a couple of spots with rain hitting Legacy Parkway now. Also, a new accident. This is going to be northbound Highway 89 at 10th North in Layton. It's already been moved to the shoulder. But delays from a crash northbound on I-15 near 5600 South Roy, a little bit past that. That seems to be blocking traffic, and that's still causing delays into Sunset. Fill up your bucket list in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife. And excellent dining and shopping await you. Learn more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Behold, 'tis I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the knights of Scamelot, here to give thee warning. Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information. And never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
Join KSL in the movie show this Friday from 10 to 1 at the Salt Lake NPS store, 1600 Empire Road in Salt Lake City, npsstore.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
Tell me about it. Did you have any idea that was going on?
None. I mean, you saw Derek at the game last night, too. Did you have a clue?
No, but you know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do. Kids hear first about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
It can be hard to tell sometimes, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, bullying, violence, anything, you need to tell an adult. Mom or me, a teacher, coach, school counselor, someone you know and trust.
Dad, no kid is gonna tell an adult about that kind of stuff.
I get it, but if we don't know, we can't help. Speaking up about a problem, that's what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does your job require you to be on your feet all day? Teachers, postal carriers, salespeople, and restaurant staff. Many of us need our feet to get us through the day. Hi, this is Mike with the Good Feet store, and I'd like you to hear from Donna. She's a nurse and a real customer of the Good Feet store who wanted to share her story.
Oh, I have to tell you, I have struggled with pain in my feet. I was diagnosed with plantar fasciitis. With the 3-step program, it really fits to your lifestyle. I work in a hospital. I'm a registered nurse, so being on my feet, walking throughout the hospital during the day, I am free from any type of pain. And after working a 12-hour shift, I go home and my feet do not hurt.
Whether you're a nurse or anyone wanting to enjoy work without your feet getting in the way, come see us at the Good Feet store.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Schedule your free test walk at goodfeet.com.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Thanks for joining me today. Nearly half of Utah's population growth last year came from Utah County. They had the highest share of the state's population growth in 2024, sitting at 43.4%. Deputy Director of Utah County Health Department, Tyler Plew, says that the county is growing overall.
That growth is happening around the whole county, from the north border to the south border, but the majority is happening in the north border.
He told KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr that the high rate of growth means the county has to be prepared to grow their services too. Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner spoke to David Dujanovic, explaining why she thinks people are moving to Utah County in droves.
Right, I am an 8th-generation Utah County girl. My family has been here 178 years, and we've stayed here because it truly is the best place in the world to live, work, play, and raise a family. So The rest of the world has just finally figured that out. Growing up, I grew up here, loved Utah County. I left to go to school at Weber State University up in Weber County. Then I left the state for 10 years. I lived in Illinois, North Carolina, and Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I left my corporate career to come back here to Utah County when my oldest turned 5 because I recognized that this is where I wanted to raise my family. The rest of the world has just finally figured that out.
As a county commissioner, Powers Gardner has seen firsthand the challenges that the county faces due to growth, especially with roads.
By the time they had built Pioneer Crossing, that 10 to 20-year plan was already here in a matter of 5 years. So like you say, they thought they had planned for the future, but the growth has just been so much higher than that. But there's a couple of other things that have complicated this with the way we do traffic funding and roads funding in Utah. One is UDOT often figures roads, like they pick which road to do next based off of the current traffic. They evaluate a road and they go out and look at the traffic currently on that road. They're not looking at all of the homes currently being built and all of the encumbered lots that will be built in the next 5 years. So that's part of the problem, is that when they compare current traffic in Utah County to current traffic in Davis County, they say, oh, we could do this Davis County road, not recognizing that we're growing at significantly a higher rate. The second issue that we have is when the legislature and when UDOT doles out funding, they do it by region, and each region gets a turn. This is a conversation I have had with legislators and UDOT many times when they say, well, Utah County had its turn. In 2011, you guys got I-15 doubled in size. And I have to remind them that we are 40% of the state's growth. It's always our turn.
Speaking of roads, if you're planning to head to the mountains soon, you'll be happy to know many of Utah's higher elevation mountain passes are opening about 2 weeks earlier than usual. Of course, that is weather permitting. KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff spoke to UDOT spokesman Mitch Shaw about the progress.
Kind of depends on what Mother Nature brings us over the winter when it comes to how soon we can have the roads open. And then also that applies to how soon we close the roads in the fall. We usually keep most of these roads open like through Thanksgiving, but there's been years where we've had a lot of early snow and we've had to close them even before then. So we're kind of at the mercy of Mother Nature on these roads.
Shaw says crews have been busy digging, plowing, and clearing those roads out from underneath several feet of snow.
The question has been asked of us, why don't you keep these roads open year-round? And really, it's next to impossible. I mean, these routes are very high elevations and they get a ton of snow. It would be very costly to keep them open because during certain winters we'd be out there plowing, 24/7. Like the winter that we had 2 years ago or 3 years ago, I can't remember exactly, but that dumped so much snow up on Monte Cristo, for example, that we weren't even able to open that road until June. Yeah, it's not like we're just going up there and running the plow through once. There's several feet of snow, and when I say several feet of snow, I mean like we've got photos from years past where cars are driving through right after we cleared the road. There's like a 10-foot snowbank just kind of engulfs the car, like you could stack 3 cars on top of each other and they wouldn't reach the top of each snowbank.
Even though we've had less snow this year than in years past, he says it would be impractical to keep them open year-round.
The cost of maintenance would be huge. It would be, frankly, a safety issue for our crews up there at certain times. And really, it's a safety issue, too, for the general public, because these are roads where they're so high in elevation and the weather up there is so much more severe than it is down here in the valleys. We get severe weather down here in the valleys, but it's, tenfold up there on some of these high mountain passes. So the reason we close them mainly is a safety thing, because there's been some seasons where we haven't had a lot of early snowfall, but we'll close it anyway, around Thanksgiving, and people ask us why we do that. And the reason is because up here at these locations, so high elevation, extreme snowfall can happen in a matter of hours, but probably sooner than that. Like you could get some real trouble when there's any potential for snow.
Now, Shaw says they'll be opening SR 65 linking East and Immigration Canyons in the Monte Cristo Highway today, hopefully, weather permitting. SR 148 linking Bryan Head to Cedar Breaks National Monument opened yesterday, and crews hope to open Guardsman's Pass just before Memorial Day. Good news for all of your recreation.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Two unique court cases in Utah that could create some interesting precedent.
Something has been happened here. Something's wrong. This doesn't pass the smell test, and something should be done about it. And a jury will ultimately decide in both cases whether there's a crime that was committed, whether these individuals charged committed the crime.
The time is 2 o'clock on Wednesday, May 14th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, a case involving extortion of a couple from their surrogate. Also this hour,
the DNA that they were able to extract from the skull and the sister's DNA were 99.99% had the same mother.
more than 50 years after a U of U student went missing, closure for the family. But first, our top local stories. The federal government has agreed to restore the legal status of dozens of Utah International College students after their status were revoked last month. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Government officials revoked the CVIS or legal statuses for thousands of international students around the country, including several dozen here in Utah, because they either had an expired visa, which is not needed to stay in the country, or they were accused of some sort of crime. Though attorneys argue many of those kids only had traffic tickets or minor citations and claimed the government violated their right to due process when they told them to immediately leave the country.
DHS officials say they now plan to review each student on a case-by-case basis. Our top national story from ABC News. House lawmakers are continuing to work on a budget bill to cut federal spending, but the bill has some disabled Medicaid recipients worried. ABC's Jay O'Brien reports.
It started yesterday afternoon as lawmakers write this legislation that's all going to be part of President Trump's big, beautiful bill and has changes to Medicaid in it. Those changes include work requirements for various individuals from 19 to 64 years old, higher copays and things of that nature. The goal is to try to make these cuts and get at a larger goal of $2 trillion in cuts across the federal government. So these changes to Medicaid would be in service of that.
Here in Utah, the Protect Medicaid Utah Coalition is urging people to go to tonight's Department of Health and Human Services public hearing as the department considers changing requirements for Medicaid recipients. The proposal would require Medicaid expansion recipients to work at least 30 hours a week or get an exemption, or they could lose their health coverage. The coalition says the policy would hurt people who hold low-paying or part-time jobs. People can attend the 4 o'clock hearing in person or online. That all-night debate resulted in a rough wake-up call for Congressman Blake Moore early this morning in the House Ways and Means Committee.
Mr. Moore. Mr. Moore.
A colleague had to nudge the Utah representative awake after House lawmakers stayed up all night to work on a budget and tax proposal. It was 4:57 this morning Washington time after a long night of debate. That meeting started at 2 yesterday afternoon. And taking a look at your money at this moment. At the close, the Dow down by about 90 points, sitting at 42,051. S&P up by 6 points. The NASDAQ, it's up by 136 points. Traffic and weather brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
We are still not done with the weather. A lot of rain has come through right now. We're seeing a lot of water on the roads from that rain in Farmington on I-15, so slow your speeds just a bit. We also have the cleanup of a crash in Davis County, northbound Highway 89. It's near Oak Hills Drive. spots on the right shoulder. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Some scattered showers across the Wasatch Front. We have about a 60% chance for the rest of the day, 40% chance tomorrow, and 20% on Friday. 52 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. anyhourservices.com.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See dealer for full details and disclaimers.
Two unique court cases in the state today, prompting interest from legal experts who say they could set some interesting precedents. Thanks for tuning in to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. One of these cases involves a West Valley City woman who is accused of extorting a couple while acting as the surrogate for their baby. The other involving an Orem man who's being accused of contributing to the death of his girlfriend who died by suicide. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
33-year-old Teresa Mertez is facing multiple charges, including felony theft and attempted theft by extortion, after prosecutors claim she lied multiple times during her pregnancy in an effort to get more money from the couple she had the surrogacy agreement with. Charging documents obtained by KSL.com accused her at one point of threatening to terminate the pregnancy if she was not paid an extra $7,000. Documents also allege she falsely claimed to have a miscarriage at one point and asked for an extra $2,500 for the baby's remains. Later in the pregnancy, prosecutors say the baby was in danger, and they claim she threatened to leave the hospital if the couple didn't pay her $15,000. Police say the baby was eventually born safely and is now in Washington, D.C. with their parents. The other story we're following is the death of Rose Wynn. She died by suicide in 2021. The prosecutors are accusing her boyfriend, Caleb Aiden Reese, of verbally abusing her and claiming that abuse contributed to her death. Investigators say they found several recordings on her phone the night she was found shot in her home. In those, investigators say they heard Reese belittle Wynn and call her names. Not long after, police say Reese grabbed his gun and placed it in Wynn's direct line of sight when prosecutors claim he knew she was struggling with her mental health. Investigators say the gun went off right after he left the room. He's now facing manslaughter as well as several drug and weapons-related charges. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Now to the heart of the story, the law. KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda spoke with Andy Farnsworth and Amanda Dixon on Utah's Morning News today, saying that he's fascinated by both of these cases and how the outcome could affect the law.
So let's start with the manslaughter one, Greg. I mean, there have been situations, I'm sure, where in a boyfriend-girlfriend situation, one is abusive, cruel,
but doesn't take part in the actual death of the significant other. Like here, he didn't shoot her, she shot herself, but he's charged with manslaughter. When does his criminal culpability kick in?
Yeah, this one's a really interesting one, Amanda, because his culpability here, the way it's charged, is because of his encouraging her, his providing her the gun, his telling her that she's worthless, that she serves no purpose. I mean, he just berates and belittles and just really makes her feel like she's a useless person. And you can hear it on this tape that they made, or that one of them created in the hours before she died, and actually in the minutes before she died. But the way that the state has charged it is, like you said, she's the one that pulled the trigger, but he gave her every reason to do that and encouraged her to do that. And when she did that, obviously she died, and he's now charged with manslaughter for recklessly causing her death.
Is there legal precedent for this kind of a charge, or charging him in this way, or is this kind of a test case going forward?
It's a really interesting question, Andy, because I've never seen a case like this in Utah. I'm not saying that there hasn't been one nationally, but we are testing the boundaries of the law when we consider something like this to be manslaughter. Like Amanda said at the outset, she's the one that pulled the trigger. He was, who knows where he was, in the house or in the room or something like that. But this one tests the boundaries, that's for sure. And a jury's going to decide if and to what extent he's culpable.
I mean, he might be culpable of something else, even if he's not culpable of manslaughter, yes or no?
Oh, yeah, there's certainly some domestic violence, or maybe even just a negligent homicide if they feel like he contributed in some way. But the jury would have the sort of some realm of other charges that they could find, the manslaughter, of course, being the most significant.
Greg, tell us now a little bit about this case where the surrogate extorts money from the couple whose baby they're carrying.
Yeah, this is another one that really kind of tests the boundaries. So a surrogate was carrying a child for a couple from Washington, D.C., and during the course of that, she made several attempts to get money from them, saying at one point she was going to abort the child. Another point she had a miscarriage. And another point, she just made repeated comments about the delivery, about her pregnancy, in an attempt to get more and more and more money from them. And ultimately, she had the child, and I believe they currently have the child. But those threats that she made are now charged as extortion by her, trying to get money from them in exchange for her not doing something that would have been tremendously harmful to them.
Is this another new use of the law in this area?
It really is. I mean, I've never seen anything like this one either. But both of these cases, Amanda, I think, prosecutors look at it and they say something has been happened here. Something's wrong. This doesn't pass the smell test, and something should be done about it. And a jury will ultimately decide in both cases whether there's a crime that was committed, whether these individuals charged committed the crime. But they're not far-fetched cases. I mean, these are cases that I think a jury's going to wrestle with. And it'll be very, very interesting to see what the verdict is on both of them.
We will continue to track both of these cases here on KSL News Radio and bring you the latest updates on air and online. Stay with us. In just 60 seconds, we'll take a deeper look at how you can keep your family safe from exploding lithium batteries.
Summer is right around the corner.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss. Today is a new day.
And a big day for you.
Why?
Why?
Because right now, you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? And I did it without drugs, shots, or hunger. Because Soda Weight Loss works. Just look at all the Google reviews and all the thousands of before and after pictures.
Soda Weight Loss has one goal, and that's to help you let go of the weight for good.
So I lost 25 pounds. I was never hungry. It was very, very easy. I couldn't believe how fast the weight came off.
Now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Hurry. Savings won't last long.
Let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
A number of recent fires have been caused by lithium-ion batteries. We are talking about the batteries found in things like e-scooters and power tools. What do we need to know to make sure that we aren't creating a safety hazard in or around our homes? United Fire Authority Captain Jennifer Bevan spoke to KSL 5 TV's Shelby Loft, and she says, we often don't think about how commonplace these batteries have become.
Well, lithium batteries are in so many things now. They're in cell phones, they're in computers, e-bikes, scooters, they're all over the place, vehicles. And so they are more commonplace. And so the biggest thing that we want to get out to the public is we want you to partner with us and properly store, charge, and dispose of these batteries. And if you can't be there attending these items when you're charging, I recommend unplugging until you are there.
And she says, while aftermarket items can be cheaper, they aren't safer. She recommends using the manufacturer's original equipment, no aftermarket stuff. Plus, we need to think about our use of extension cords for charging as well.
If you can unwind the extension cord fully and not use it as permanent wiring, that's our biggest recommendation. If you're just using it temporarily, then just plug it in, use it for what you're using it for, and then unplug.
And Captain Bevan says the temperature is also a big factor when it comes to storing items with lithium batteries.
If you can keep them in a temperature-controlled environment, and if you're not able to do that, like because I would recommend charging in a garage or somewhere rather than your living room, or if we're talking about scooters or bigger equipment like that, charge it in a place away from flammables.
And then I've also read that once it's finished charging, don't keep it on the charger.
Exactly. So yeah, once you get the green light and the charging is finished, if you can immediately unplug it, then that's going to be your safest bet. Just overcharging overheats them, and then that's when you start to have issues.
Batteries should be stored away from heat, sunlight, or anything that could catch fire. And if possible, don't leave the charging items unattended for long periods of time. Unplug them. There were 2 fires earlier this week, one in South Jordan and one in Kearns, where officials suspect that lithium-ion batteries were to blame. UFA says a fire in Kearns was likely caused by one of these batteries being charged using an extension cord. In Daybreak, investigators suspect battery-powered items were stored on the site of the home where that fire broke out. National Fire Protection Association estimates fire departments respond to about 300 fires per year directly linked to lithium-ion batteries, but they say with the quickly growing market for items using these batteries, that's likely an underestimate. Utah and most of the U.S., in fact, is in a child care shortage. We will go in depth on how it's affecting parents, kids, and child care providers. But first, KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
A new accident in Utah County northbound I-15, approximately 8th North in Orem, already moved out of traffic to the shoulder. More rain coming through the valley and slowing speeds along I-15 in Sandy near 90th South. Traffic's rough, but your parking lot doesn't have to be. Go Pave Utah keeps things smooth with expert asphalt maintenance at gopavutah.com. That's gopavutah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Have a minute?
I love Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News.
It's more of a personal take on the news from Jeff.
Get caught up on the latest news and hear Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News for thought-provoking, playful commentary.
It's usually funny.
Like he's said before, it varies from day to day, and it's always entertaining.
My Minute of News, it puts a smile on my face.
If you have a minute, you need to catch Jeff's Minute. My Minute of News, weekdays from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Troy, can you believe Memorial Day is almost here?
Pretty exciting.
Pretty exciting?
Yeah.
That's all you got for the official start to camping season and our entire reason for living?
I am excited, yes. What do you want from me?
Get pumped, man. It's camping Christmas. Kind of a big deal.
Oh, it's a huge flippin' deal. That's why Bish's is already celebrating Memorial Day with big deals on all RVs. We're selling travel trailers starting under $139 per month on approved credit.
And don't forget no tariff fees on new in-stock RVs.
Plus 90 days of all play and no pay OAC.
And clearance pricing on all remaining 2024s while they last.
We're even delivering select RVs same day so you can camp right away.
Same day camping? That is is a big flippin' deal.
Told you, camping season is a big deal. So come get the real big deals during the Memorial Day sales event happening right now at Bish's RV of Salt Lake and American Fork, where memories begin.
Based on approved credit, 20% down, 8.99% APR for 180 months. Stock numbers 90452-81733. Subject to prior sale. See dealer for details.
Spring is the perfect time to refresh your home, and Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning is here to help. Right now, when you get the carpet of 3 rooms cleaned, you'll get an additional room cleaned absolutely free. And for a whole home refresh, take 20% off upholstery cleaning. Unlike traditional cleaners, Zero Res uses patented ZR water, a powerful cleaning solution that lifts dirt and grime without harsh chemicals or detergents. That means your carpets and upholstery stay cleaner longer and dry in hours, not days. It's safe for kids, pets, and the environment. Plus, every cleaning comes with a Zero Res Gotta Love It guarantee. If you're not completely satisfied, Zero Res will re-clean for free within 30 days. Don't miss out on these limited time offers because spring cleaning starts now. Get started today at zerores.com and mention KSL to lock in your deal.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Focus this week on childcare and the struggle of childcare workers. I spoke with Kimberly Rice, Program Director for Utah Care for Kids, about the annual day without childcare to learn why it's important.
It's a national movement. The Changemakers organization is national. And so it's a national event meant specifically to call attention to child care directly, that child care workers are important, and that if child care isn't operating, the economy stops. You know, jobs, people can't go to work, people can't do their jobs because they need us to do the child care. And so it's a hope that providers and parents and the community that supports early childhood can come out and stand together and say, hey, we matter. We are important and we matter. And without us, the economy would tank, is the basics behind this.
You mentioned just the economy, but I'm wondering about parents. If we could focus on parents for just a second and kind of describe what the situation is for parents right now when it comes to being able to get appropriate child care.
So, yes, parents are the ones, parents and children suffer. Parents, it's hard to find child care in the state. And not only is it hard to find child care, but it's hard to find affordable child care. And so it's difficult for parents everywhere to find the right fit for their children so that they can go to work. And with the costs of everything rising, if you can't go to work, it's so expensive here in Utah that you almost always need 2 incomes. And so if both parents have to work and they can't find affordable, accessible child care, that's a huge problem. The state does offer, the Department of Workforce Services does offer subsidy for parents, but not everybody qualifies for the subsidy. And so, and the costs of child care now are, they're saying, all the data is showing that it's even more than a college education. And so you're talking about 5 years of college tuition for your child. And if you have more than one child, the costs go up exponentially.
Wow.
And so there's lots of places in Utah where there is no child care. Licensed child care is what I should say, licensed child care. And that is available is very cost prohibitive to a lot of parents. And so that's what they're struggling with.
Why is there always a lack of child care? I mean, what is the industry struggling with? Why are there so few child care providers in the state?
Well, there's lots of issues. The first being that child care has traditionally been considered just babysitting. But to achieve quality, they want child care providers to have lots of education and lots of training. But the average child care, the caregiver makes about $12.87 right now in Utah, and that's not a livable wage. And on top of that, the work is extremely hard. Anybody that's done childcare knows that it's just, you're with these children almost all of the day, from 6 in the morning till 6 or 7 or 8 at night. And it's hard work, and you're on all day. And so the work is hard and the pay is low, and many are choosing to go elsewhere. Costco, they start at $15 with benefits. Most of our caregivers can't afford benefits. If providers who own the facility are raising rates, then that's pushing parents to go elsewhere because they can't afford the higher rates. So it's really a conundrum. It's kind of a vicious cycle that is nearly impossible. If you do get caregivers to work, they don't stay very long. And certainly you want the high quality for your child care, but with that comes the price that has to be paid. And if you're not making enough money, you just can't achieve all that you're set out to do. Does that make sense?
It certainly does. In an ideal world, what would child care look like to you?
Oh, wow. In an ideal world, the state would fund child care for everyone. So there'd be plenty of money available. Providers would get paid a good wage to do the work that they're doing. Caregivers would make, I personally, in a perfect world, would love to see $20 an hour because with the economy, that's a livable wage. And then they'd want to stay and be consistent for those children, and they would, in a perfect world, we could just do what we love and also get paid for it, and the children would be safe and well educated. And I'm talking all children, everywhere. I really feel strongly that all children deserve a really good quality educational experience those first 5 years.
Any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Just that childcare does matter, and the work, we are professionals, and we do make a difference in children's lives. And if we can keep the children healthy and safe and protected and educated, we will be so happy.
Kim Rice is the program director of Utah Care for Kids. John Curtis gave his first speech as Utah's newly elected senator on the Senate floor about an hour ago. In preparation for his speech, Curtis visited 4 sites that hold significance to Utah history, including the National Museum of African American History and Culture. He says while in this museum, he found himself thinking about his friend and former Utah Congresswoman, Mia Love.
Mia broke barriers as the first Black Republican woman elected to Congress. She used her voice to lift and to call us all to be our better angel. And now she is one. At her funeral, her children read a final message she had written to the nation, words that deserve to be remembered. Mia wrote, "Some have forgotten the math of America. Whenever you divide, you diminish. The goodness and compassion of the American people is a multiplier that simply cannot be measured." She reminded us that America's greatness doesn't come from uniformity, it comes from unity. At a time when division too often drives out decency, Mia's words offer a roadmap back to our shared purpose, not based on race, status, or party, but on the simple truth that we are all Americans. My visit to the African American Museum also reaffirmed something I deeply believe, that as long as bigotry, discrimination, and unfair treatment still exist, we cannot claim to be united. To fully heal, somehow, America must learn the delicate dance of leaving things behind and at the same time, never forgetting them.
Curtis says love embodies what makes Utah successful, which comes from the people, their kindness, hard work, and resilience. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. A cold case 50 years in the making now solved. Salt Lake City, a top tourist destination for summer. And KSL traffic. Ricky?
You have a new accident. This is westbound I-80 approaching I-215's east belt. It's blocking traffic and causing delays. If you're coming from Parley's Canyon, be prepared for backups. Maria?
And thank you, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. First, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. Demonstrators interrupted a hearing today as Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy testified on recent cuts to agencies, including the FDA, National Institutes of Health, and Medicaid. ABC's Jay O'Brien has more.
This is a hearing that focuses on the HHS budget, but it's the opportunity for members of both sides of the aisle to ask Kennedy some pointed questions, not just on his medical advice, but also on changes he's made at that agency, at career vaccine officials at FDA, for instance, resigning, as happened a few months ago.
Recent outages of radar screens at Newark Liberty International Airport and cancellations and delays were the center topic at another hearing on Capitol Hill. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy telling lawmakers the Trump administration plans to revamp air traffic control across the country. And in California, an L.A. County judge re-sentenced Eric and Lyle Menendez, reducing their sentences to 50 years with the possibility of parole. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local stories. Some Davis High students are having to choose between college credits and graduating with their peers. KSL News Radio's Alessandra Gurr explains.
On Monday, several students were almost done with their AP Calculus exam when the fire alarm went off.
The cause of the alarm was due to a balloon that interfered with the connection of a beam detector.
Davis School District spokesperson Christopher Williams says all the students evacuated and now they have to choose what to do with their tests.
Davis High School has reached out to the college board to establish a way to complete a makeup.
3 options for students are to submit their tests as they were before leaving the building, take a makeup test on the same day as their graduation ceremony, or do a makeup test a week after graduation. Alessandra Gurr, KSL News Radio.
Researchers say Utah's economy is thriving thanks to a strong urban center and growing population.
1 in every 4 jobs in the state are right here in Salt Lake City. That's a stunning number. When you think of the breadth of the state, when you think of all the way down to St. George, when you think of what's going on in Utah County, think of Logan and Cache and Utah State University, but 1 in every 4 are in Salt Lake City. It's over 400,000 jobs. Director
of the Kempsey Gardner Institute, Natalie Gochner, says half of the state's 1.76 million jobs are in Salt Lake County. She attributes it to the city's investments in families, housing, community building, professional sports, and transit. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow down by 89 points at the close, nearly 0.25%, sitting at 42,051. S&P 500 up by 6 points. The NASDAQ, though, the big winner, up 136 points. That's about 0.75%. Salt Lake City police have identified an 18-year-old as the person wounded in an officer-involved shooting earlier this week. They say Carlos Ocampo Flores is accused of fleeing an officer who tried to stop him for driving without headlights and crashing into multiple cars before they encountered him in a field. Police claim he reached toward his waistband, which is when the officer fired shots. He's also accused of threatening first responders who treated him. His injuries are not considered life-threatening. A former Love Island contestant has been charged with assault in Salt Lake City, where he currently lives. Police say Cashel Barnett and the mother of his child got into an argument and he attempted to choke her out. He's facing multiple charges. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
The crash westbound I-80 in Parley's Canyon. It's after the quarry and prior to the I-215 junction has been moved out of traffic to the side. Those delays have eased. However, more rain through Salt Lake County causing some heavy and slower traffic along I-15 in the South Salt Lake area and again in Midvale and Sandy. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialist. Whipple that away. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Not sure we're going to make it to the high of 56 today. Light rain in downtown Salt Lake City and a 60% chance of showers continuing. 40% chance tomorrow and then down to a 20% chance on Friday. 46 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100 or go to advancedwindows.com.
This had been a story that had gone on in their family all these years. You know, what happened to Douglas? We don't know. We've never seen him since 1973. They were amazed by it.
More than 50 years after he went missing, the family of a former University of Utah student, Douglas Brick, finally has some closure. Thanks for being with me today on Midday. The closure comes largely due to the persistence of Major Heather Sturzenegger with the U of U police. She says the original case had long been lost, but a crime analyst found the case and began investigating a few years ago. KSL 5 TV's Debbie Worthen sat down with the major to talk about this case and the amazing discovery.
We start looking into it and trying to find any record that we can find. Police records from 1973 no longer exist. We can't find any of the officers or police officers that worked here. No one's alive anymore. So we couldn't really go back and talk to anybody. And so we went to the university and we said, what kind of records do you have? And we were looking to see if we could find out who his roommates might have been or people that we could talk to that we could find. And the only thing that they had record-wise was his transcripts. So it didn't take us very far other than to let us know what classes he was taking.
She says the crime analyst relied on old articles and cold case Facebook groups to try and get things going again. But eventually the new investigation once again ran cold. A few years later, Major Sturzenegger had a serendipitous thing happen.
I am off duty and go to a doctor appointment with my daughter, and the doctor comes in to treat her, and we just start talking about the U. He mentions that he's alumni and that he graduated from medical school here. And he asked me what my job was here, and I told him I was a police officer at the U, and he said, "Oh, that's so interesting. In 1973, my roommate went missing, and I was the one who reported him to the police, and I was the one that found his car." And I was flabbergasted. I was shocked. And I said, is his name Douglas Brick? And he said, "Yeah, that's him. It was so long ago."
Then in October 2024, hunters discovered a skull in the mountains behind the U. Thanks to DNA testing, they were able to connect the skull to the sister of Douglas.
The DNA that they were able to extract from the skull and the sister's DNA were 99.99% had the same mother.
Douglas's mother passed away long before this discovery, but his siblings and other family members say that they're happy to have some kind of closure now. But Douglas isn't alone. There are countless kinds of cold cases still unsolved. Murders, disappearances, and so many more. All cases sitting there waiting for someone to come along and work on them. Or in Douglas's case, where the original case had been lost, someone to start from scratch. What about manner of death? What about next steps? Is it all done?
I mean, I think going up and looking for more of him is important. And we may not be able to.
Was it also good too, to be able to tell the family, his skull was intact, it didn't look like trauma.
Oh yeah, there was. Yeah, it didn't.
I mean, as far as that goes, you don't know for sure, but the skull was intact.
Right. We don't have a manner of death in this situation because we just don't know. That's all we have, right? Is the skull to go off of. So we do know that Douglas was depressed at the time that he disappeared, but we just can't come up with a manner of death and say that something happened up there. He could have fallen. The terrain is very rugged. There's just so many different options or things that could have happened to him that, I don't think that we want to comment on a manner of death for him. But yeah, there's always going to be that mystery unless we can find something else up there that's going to help us understand more of what happened to him.
We're going to take a quick 60-second break. When we return, we'll chat with someone who focuses on these kinds of cold cases to get his take. Stay with us.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See dealer for full details and disclaimers.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that, and third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
Before the break, I told you about a missing persons case from 1973, finally solved due to DNA, persistent investigators, and a bit of luck.
We start looking into it and trying to find any record that we can find. Police records from 1973 no longer exist. We can't find any of the officers or police officers that worked here. No one's alive anymore. So we couldn't really go back and talk to anybody. And so we went to the university and we said, what kind of records do you have? And we were looking to see if we could find out who his roommates might have been or people that we could talk to that we could find. And the only thing that they had record-wise was his transcripts.
U of U police say that a skull found in the mountains behind the U has a 99.99% DNA match with Douglas's sister. Major Heather Sturzenegger, who you just heard, says that she's glad to finally be able to bring Douglas's family some peace. Joining me now to talk about these kinds of cold cases is Dave Cawley, investigative podcast producer, reporter, and the host for KSL. Now, he's the driving force behind the top-rated Cold podcast where he digs into these cold cases. So, Dave, thanks for being here with me, but what was your initial reaction to this story?
My initial reaction, Maria, was a giant fist pump. It's amazing to see that the University of Utah police were able to make this connection. And as you said, it was a combination of good police work and luck. But we take luck in these kinds of cases because often when something sits for 50 years or longer, you need that luck to make it happen. And, this is just one of those perfect storm situations where everything came together to allow us to identify who this person was, because it very easily could have gone the other way. This could have been a John Doe who, for another 50 years, we wouldn't know who they are.
Any surprises for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think looking through here, of course, that whole scenario that you heard where, the investigator goes to the doctor and just happens to find Douglas Brick's long ago roommate and gain that information. I mean, that was a huge surprise. And then, of course, there's just the random surprise of a hunter having found this skull in the first place. It had sat on the hillside, as far as we know, there undisturbed for 50 years plus, and was still intact in a way that they were able to collect DNA. That's a long time to be sitting out in the open. So very impressive work on the forensic side and on the investigation side.
Talk to us for a minute about how common it is for case records to go missing like this. I mean, it sounds like a huge issue.
Oh, man, Maria, if I could. So let me tell you, I came across a case last year of a young man who disappeared in Summit County. He was working on a government survey crew. We actually did a story about this for KSL. This young man, Lynn Simmons, vanished. He was never found. And when I started digging into it with some relatives, we quickly learned that there are no records from that case. Back in the mid-1900s, police agencies weren't as good about keeping records. They weren't computerized. And so if that paper record got destroyed, and it was the only copy, then it's gone. And even today, I think sometimes we see that, police, they're busy. They don't always keep the best records. And so when you start talking about cases that are, 10, 20, 30, 50 years old, extremely common that those records go missing. And this is a big part of why I personally believe the media, the news media, plays an important role in keeping these stories alive and in people's attention so that they're not forgotten.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges, when tracking down information in a case this old?
I mean, as you heard, people die. Unfortunately, the truth is when cases get this old, family members pass away, friends pass away, the people who would know, even the investigators that worked the case originally. So, when University of Utah police decided to relook into this case, when they uncovered it again, they quickly discovered that those people were gone. And so with no records, with no sources that you can go talk to, where do you start? Where do you start investigating a case when you know nothing about the victim or the circumstances, how they disappeared? It's just a huge hurdle in old cases. And the older they get, the fewer people there are to talk to.
You have a new podcast coming out that looks at another mysterious disappearance here in Utah. Give our listeners a little tease on what it's about and what they can expect.
You bet. So, of course, people may know the Cold podcast that we've done 3 seasons on KSL looking at, these cold cases. This new show, we just dropped a trailer actually yesterday. So this is the first time I've been able to talk about it publicly. It's called Uinta Triangle. Uinta Mountains, UINTA, obviously here in Utah, familiar to a lot of us who hike and spend time outdoors. And this is really looking at one of these cases where somebody disappeared into that mountain range and what happened with the search to try to find this hiker.
This one just a little bit different than the other cases that you've covered.
Right. Yeah. So we don't want to just be looking at, crimes and kind of peering into the grisly stuff. This story takes some unexpected turns in a way that I think will surprise listeners. And we plan to be dropping our first 2 episodes next week on Tuesday. And it's free on any podcast platform, Apple Podcasts or wherever you like to listen.
Dave, looking forward to it. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you, Maria.
That is Dave Cawley, investigative podcast producer, reporter, and host for KSL. KSL News Time is 12:48. We have much more coming up. But first, let's check on traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's My Style Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
A right lane blocked with a 4-car crash northbound I-15 in South Salt Lake at about 33rd South. And we are seeing that it's causing delays into Murray. Water belongs in pipes, not in your yard or on your floor. Call Utah Utility Pro, your leak detection and repair specialist. Water, sewer, main, and gas lines, Utah Utility Pro. UtahUtilityPro.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
Market volatility isn't slowing down. If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Get ready for Camping World's Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th. Get the highest value for your RV guaranteed during the biggest RV trade event of the year. Shop the best RV deals in America with new RVs starting as low as $92 a month. Get ready for the holiday weekend with up to 45% off grills and 25% off product installation. Plus, we'll have free hats, free propane refills, free food, and fun for the whole family. Don't miss the incredible Red, White, and New Trade Event, May 15th through the 18th at your local Camping World.
See dealer for full details and disclaimer.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? When it comes to Big Wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Switch to Consumer Cellular to get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Plans start at just $20 a month, and now for a limited time, new customers can get their second month free. Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit a store near you, or consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for autopay and e-billing. Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Do you want to make your house more comfortable, more energy efficient, more valuable? Well, maybe it's time you took a look at your doors and windows. And there's nobody around who does doors and windows better than Peach Doors and Windows.
Improve the functionality of your home with custom replacement windows, entry doors, patio doors. Maybe you have a sunroom or you want a new custom front door and windows to maximize the beauty of your home. Peach offers flexible financing available to fit any budget. They've got expert installation, including fiberglass doors, which are their specialty. And they'll replace your windows with the highest energy efficiency rating.
And customer service is a top priority. It's the reason why they have so many 5-star reviews on Google. You can check it out for yourself. You can also check them out online at peachbuildingproducts.com. You can call for a free in-home estimate, 801-566-1255.
Or see them in person, 2940 South, 300 West in Salt Lake City. They're open 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Go check out their beautiful showroom. It's Peach Doors and Windows.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. As you plan your summer travel, you might be looking for the best place to go. And for many of you, that might involve being a tourist in your own backyard. Midday executive producer Andy Cupp spoke with Visit Salt Lake's Ryan Mack about a new ranking.
So Wallet Hub just ranked Salt Lake as one of the top summer travel spots based on travel costs, available attractions. What's your initial takeaway from that kind of a ranking?
Yeah, well, I think it's music to my ears. You know, people know of Salt Lake as a winter destination, rightly so. You know, we've got the greatest snow on earth, but we're also becoming more known as a year-round destination because the shoulder seasons and the summers are amazing here too. There's so much to do. The weather's great. You know, we average over 222 days of sunshine per year. So, you know, it's nice to see that we're getting some acclaim for our summer activities as well.
So the top spot, according to Wallet Hub, went to Orlando, Florida, which, as we all know, Disney World, all of the parks, makes a lot of sense. What is your kind of take on what Utah could do to almost become number one? Like, is there anything that we could do here to knock Disney out of first place?
Sure. You know, I think Salt Lake is number one in all of our hearts, but as far as improving our rankings, you know, we really hang our hat on our proximity to the outdoors and all the activities that we have there. But I think something that would be interesting for us to continue to improve on is really our bookable experiences for not only locals but visitors as well. You know, I know there was a new double-decker bus tour that's coming online that I saw on KSL. That's a great example of a bookable experience. I think the church reopening in 2027 is going to be huge and attract a lot of people here. That's going to be big. And then, you know, Rocky Mountaineer, for example, has just announced a new train route that will run from Salt Lake to Denver over a several-day trip, and that's, you know, kind of a high-end luxury trip for people. And I think that these types of experiences are what people are looking for, and Salt Lake can continue to create and work with partners to develop these types of things in addition to our access to the outdoors.
Oh, that makes sense. What are some of the, you know, for those of us who live in Salt Lake City itself, you know, we might be kind of tourists in our own backyard, but what are some of the things that you've seen from kind of doing all of your marketing and whatnot to try and get Salt Lake out there to others people's minds? What are some of the things that are going on for locals so that we can be tourists in our own backyards here in Salt Lake?
Sure. I think a couple things come to mind. As far as, you know, locals taking advantage of Salt Lake, there's so much to do. And I think during the summer seasons, my mind jumps to arts and culture. You know, there's, you know, the Living Traditions, for example, is coming up this week. There's so many great concert series, the Red Butte concert series, Twilight, and then our food and beverage scene as well. You know, we have several James Beard nominated restaurants and bars. I think sometimes Salt Lake could be overlooked compared to a lot of other cities, but I think we really punch above our weight class when it comes to outdoor experiences and dining experiences that people, even locally, might not be fully aware of yet.
Where is a good place for people, both here in Utah and elsewhere, to find all of those activities? Is there like a central place? Does your organization kind of keep track of those things? Where can people go?
Yeah, our website, visitsaltlake.com, is a great resource, not only for visitors, but for locals. There is a ton of great blog content on, you know, things to do within Salt Lake County, as well as we have a list of events on our website that represent the entire county as well, that feeds through a website called Now Playing Utah. So that between the blog and our calendar of events, visitsaltlake.com is a great resource for visitors and locals.
Awesome. Ryan, thanks so much for speaking with me today. I really appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks, Andy.
And that was Andy Cupp speaking with Vice President of Communications for Visit Salt Lake, Ryan Mack. And it's cool to see that Salt Lake ranked so highly. Wallet Hub also says 82% of Americans are planning to travel this summer. 42% are expected to make several trips. Now, my family, a couple times a year, we have a 4x4 group that we go off with. Jeff Kaplan, who's joined me now. We go off and do kind of the off-road kind of stuff.
No.
And, he was talking about Salt Lake, but we've gone down to Cedar City and enjoyed the Shakespeare Festival, up to Logan, enjoyed the arts, and then took in all of the fun 4x4 off-road trails.
Doesn't that hurt your back, though?
Yeah, it can. Is that why you're giving that that
No,
funny
that's
look?
the experience I've had the one time I went off-roading. It was in Spanish Fork Canyon, and ouch. We were with friends like that. Personally, I'm not going to turn that into a vacation, but you come back very relaxed after these trips.
I do, and one that you've taken that I haven't done yet, you actually took your bikes down to Moab and did a Moab trail that I really want to check out.
Fantastic trail along the river. It's paved. I mean, for an e-bike like that, you just go and just gape.
And you didn't have to worry about your back, did you? Because it wasn't rocky.
No, it wasn't rocky. It's a paved trail. And we did a bunch of trails along that trip. Probably did 30, 40 miles over the course of a quick weekend and got to soak up the sights. It was wonderful.
Utah's a great place, not just Salt Lake. Thank you for joining me today for Midday. Jeff Kaplan. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is next.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. Light rain